Another night, another league race. See if the stream's working, eh? Oh, popped up straight away. Yay me. Oh, yes. The audio is working as it should. Stream's up, the chat's up. We're all good to go. Well, hopefully, folks, we don't have to wait terribly long. I believe we are set for 17 drivers tonight. Not a perfect attendance, but not bad. More than enough. Voice chat suspended. Okay. Thanks. Still don't know why that's a thing. Considering there was an update recently, that feature literally does nothing except blocks your screen for whatever reason. Actually, speaking of which, there might be some fun tidbits to talk about with that new update. Might be able to ramble on about it during the race if there's a bit of a boring period, which I don't doubt. Hungary races, a lot of follow the leader kind of stuff. It's a lot of waiting for chaos to happen, waiting for the strategies to all pan themselves out. Copy notes. Everything ready? There's 17. Hi Blake. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. How am I doing? I'm doing okay, Blake. It's been a nice start to the week. Did a league race last night. Finished on the podium. Secured a mini championship of sorts. Hello, ACW. Over in the world of Gran Turismo. So yeah, and in a good mood. Yeah. It was a interesting little championship I was part of. Part of a league called Project 1 Esports. Used GT3 machinery in that. Unlike Formula 1, I'm actually alright at Gran Turismo as a driver. Yeah, same reason why I would want an Xbox, just to try out some of the new Forza games. I have not played Xbox in a long time. Back in the 360 days. Two of my favourite racing games ever came from Xbox. Forza Motorsport 3 and what I could argue is my favourite racing game ever, the first Forza Horizon. That game was excellent. I have heard a bit of mixed reviews about the newest Forza Motorsport. Yeah, Gran Turismo. It's nice going from Formula 1 to Gran Turismo. When you've played so much of Formula 1 and you hop on something different, it is an enjoyable experience. It's something that happened to me back on F1 2020 when I just got oversaturated with F1 stuff. I started playing other games, and I've been a long time Gran Turismo fan. So naturally I clinged on to GT Sport quite well. And yeah, I super duper enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun with it. And GT7's fun. It has its problems, but all in all, it's It's a solid enough game. But it has so much room to be so much better. Alright. Time for the race to begin. Hello everyone and welcome to round 9 of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Constructed and first used in 1986, Budapest has been a permanent round of the Formula 1 World Championship for almost 40 years. Given the nickname of Monaco without the walls, it's one of the tougher racetracks to try and overtake. However, over its tenure in the sport, it hasn't stopped the circuit from creating some of the more memorable races in the history of Formula 1. The circuit measures up at 4.38 kilometers, consists of 14 corners and 2 DRS zones that lead down the main straight into turn 1 and down into turn 2. It's a proper driver's circuit with many technical areas and hazards that the drivers will have to look out for, such as the notorious turns 4 and 5, as well as the following S section that forms the middle sector. Unsurprisingly, qualifying will be especially important in this round, as it will have a massive effect on the chances of who comes out victorious tonight. To add on to this, with the relatively short layout, qualifying should be extremely competitive once again. But before we focus on this here qualifying session, there is a bit of news to go through first from the previous race at Qatar. There were no incident reports submitted in by the drivers last week. As a result, the final finishing positions from that race remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, it's Big Al leading the way on 162 points. Crichton now demoted down to P2. He's on 153. 9 points separating the top two in the championship. Potsy is P3. I do believe he is absent, though, for today's race. He's on 138 points, with Sebastian Spicer behind him on 102. Ryan Bell rounds out the top 5. He's absent as well. He's on 75. In the team's championship, it's Mercedes leading on 219, followed by AlphaTauri on 192. McLaren are next on 188, followed by Aston Martin on 148. And then Red Bull Racing rounds out the top 5 on 133 points. That's about it in terms of news. Now hopefully be able to fully focus on this here qualifying session. It appears to be Luke Rockford who will be the first driver to attempt a flying lap on the soft tyre. We do have a few runners out there on the intermediate compound just to try and set a nice little banker time without using an extra set of soft tyres. But Rockford's going for it straight away. He'll be looking to try and redeem himself after what happened a few weeks ago in Suzuka. Around the penultimate turn, he'll switch on the battery shortly and get ready to begin his first flying lap of this qualifying session. Down the main straightaway, he'll open DRS and begin the lap. We'll barrel down towards turn 1, shifting into top gear, reaching a speed of 310 kilometers an hour. We'll bring it down to third gear, clip the apex, get back on the power, open DRS, and head down towards the left-hander of turn 2. We'll be braking at the 50 board, down to fourth gear, back on the power, eventually reaching full throttle as we go around turn 3. This completes the first sector. Now into the notorious left-hander of turn 4, down to sixth gear, back on the power. We head around turn 5. You want to avoid that inside curve. That's an auto spin curve on the inside there. You don't want to touch it. Into the chicane. Turn 6, turn 7. Into the S's now. Fifth gear. Back down to fourth for turn 8. Round turn 9. Got to make sure you get a lot of rotation through there. It's easy to understeer. Through turn 10. Now the notorious turn 11. Very easy to invalidate a lap through there. That completes the middle sector. Round turn 12. Only 3 corners in this here final sector. Head around the second turn, turn 13. And then the final corner, turn 14. Down to fourth gear, back on the power, and eventually reaches full throttle. DRS open, up towards the line. It's a 1 minute 15.377. That is the time for everyone else to try and beat. Anyone else on the soft tyre? We have Everingham on the soft tyre, heading up towards the first sector split. Round turn 4. A lot of incentive to try and cut as much as you can through that corner. Cut too much though, the car will bottom out and you'll likely understeer wide, invalidating the lap, or in the race just getting a track limits warning. Through the chicane. Round turn 8. Then turn 9. As I mentioned before, you want to try and get a lot of rotation through there. Everingham got just enough rotation to not invalidate the lap. Same story with turn 11. As we head towards the final sector. Down to 4th gear. Back on the power. Eventually reaches full throttle. Car looks good. He's very progressive on the brake and on the accelerator. He's not having multiple cracks on the accelerator. He's nice and progressive. What you see from a lot of really good drivers. Excellent throttle control. Crossing the line, he takes provisional pole away from Rockford. Sets a 15.241. So Cohen, Bags, Matt Plevy making his way through the first sector. Around turn 5. Again, avoiding that inside curb. See all these drivers avoid that curb. You touch it, you spin. It's not nice. It's been like that since I began league racing back in 2019. It is a no-no curb. Do not touch. What about Mr. Humphreys? He's on the intermediate tyre. Nice to see him doing a Tuesday race, even as a reserve driver. In the Williams for this event, here at the Hungaroring. Back down to 3rd gear on the power. See there, that modulation on the accelerator. Just cost you microseconds doing that. You want to be nice and progressive. It's really tough to do though. A lot easier said than done. Matt Plevy goes to P5, 15.897. Sebastian Spicer out on track on the soft tyre. Seems that he's backed off completely. He'll probably come back into the pits considering he's low on fuel. You can tell on the telemetry. Car coming up behind him. It's Jinbin in the Williams. He'll be getting ready to set his first flying lap on the medium compound tyre. Soft compound tyre. Not on the medium soft tyre. Surprising that, yeah, don't see too many people use mediums or hards in qualifying, even though, oh, can you use hards in qualifying? I think you can in F123. It's been a while since I've done actual race as a driver in this game. I know you can use mediums in qualifying, but you rarely ever see it from drivers. Just use a set of intermediates rather than a set of slicks right at the beginning of qualifying. Well, Crichton out on track. Jinbin making his way down towards turn 2. 6th gear. Revving it out in 6th, not bothering to shift up into 7th gear. Exits turn 2. Very tidy through 3. Up towards turn 4, 7th gear. One downshift. Keeps them within the white lines. Round turn 5. Nice and tidy. Now the chicane, 6-7. 3rd gear. Had a slight stab of the brake there. He had a big input on the brakes, got off it, and he realised he was a bit too hot into the corner, had a quick stab of the brake again, just to make sure the front end turned in for turn 6. A lot of modulation there through turn 11. 53.9. Apparently purple to the middle sector according to the game, but that's still a glitch, even after all these updates. You don't have to be fastest, but the game will show you as being the fastest. Yeah, I've seen a couple of better middle sectors from a few other drivers. See what Jinbin can do though. It's a 15.6. It's not a bad lap at all. 3.5 tenths off provisional pole. Still being held by Everingham in the Mercedes. Alright, Crichton. What can you do? Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Shifting up into top gear. Top speed we're reaching is 312 kilometers an hour. Down to 3rd gear. Gets back on the power. Opens DRS and heads down towards turn 2. 6th gear. Revving it out in 6, just like Jinbin. Through turn 2. Down the hill towards turn 3. Cutting a lot of the track there. Aston Martin getting well out of the way. The driving, I think that might have been Spicer on an outlap. Cutting a bit too much there. The car got very unsettled at turn 4. Makes his way out of turn 5. You can see the car briefly straighten out going through the left-hander. Had to put in some extra steering input to get the front end to turn in. Very tidy out of 9. Round turn 10. Then 11. Very tidy indeed. Currently 3/10 faster compared to what Jinbin did to the middle sector. With this sort of lap time, he's challenging the front row. See if he can take provisional pole position. Needs to string together a tidy final sector. It looks pretty good right now. Around the final corner in 4th gear. Eventually reaches full throttle just before corner exit. He crosses the line to set a 15.172. As Jinbin's left the session, he'll rejoin shortly, hopefully. So, new provisional pole sitter. His name is GeForce Crichton. Can anyone challenge? One of which, looking close, is Rockford, currently up by almost 0.2 of a second to the first sector. Bit of traffic in front though, as he goes through turn 6 and turn 7. Round 8, 4th gear. Hitting in 4 through 9. Very tidy through turn 9. Didn't have to use a lot of the outside there. Got a lot of front end grip. Denoku's left the session. He's actually lost time in the middle sector. A lot of traffic making their way through the final sector. Hopefully they get themselves sorted, and hopefully none of them get any penalties. Oh, big old slide there out to the penultimate corner. Luke's trying. Back onto the main straightaway then for the Alpine driver. He'll set a 15.263. He lost a little bit of time in the 2nd and 3rd sectors, but his 1st sector was pretty good. He's P3, only a few hundredths off Eckham in P2. Bags Liddell, currently P4. He'll be happy with that with the 15.4. See what some of the other drivers do in response. Baitmate's out on track, making his way through the middle sector. Stevenson's doing some lawn mowing out of turn 1. Plevy passes him as he heads down towards turn 2. Down to 3rd gear. Nice and tidy out of 2. Round 3. Up towards the 1st sector split. Clock says for the AlphaTauri driver, he's up by 14 thousandths of a second. Sebastian Spicer jumps up to provisional pole position. 1 minute 15.130. So the Aston Martins are looking quick then here at the Hungaroring. Reese Cohen jumps up to P5 with a 15.3. Baitmate in response is a 10th behind Cohen. He's done a 15.4. Got Al out on track. Huey on a flying lap as well. He takes provisional pole by 1/100th of a second. Not much separating the top 2. What about Al? Looking at that middle sector, he's looking at around Jinbin's time. A mid-15 at this rate. He comes around turn number 13, up towards the final corner. That is turn 14. Humphreys goes to P6 with a 15.269, just 6 thousandths behind Rockford. Al does a 15.469. He is in the top 10, only just so, as Philly jumps up to P8, a 15.406. GeForce Nick out on track, not using any battery just yet. So he's on a preparation lap. He's trying to burn some extra fuel while he's out there. He's already done an out lap, but he's not on a proper fly, as you can tell. He's got his battery switched off, so he's just trying to dump fuel. Kebab, I think he's going back into the pits, currently P12 with a 15.5. Give you an idea, folks, out of the competitive time set, they're separated by about 7.5 tenths. Not bad at all. Should never underestimate Hungaroring. It might be a little track, but there's a lot of technicality to it. A lot of areas where you can lose increments of time. So, for the entire field to be separated by 7.5 tenths, it's a very solid effort indeed. GeForce Nick on a proper flying lap attempt. He'll head down towards turn 1. Eckham on a flying lap, making his way through the final sector. He's not on a proper fly though. He's going back into pit lane. He's currently P3 at the moment. Not much separating the top 3. 39 thousandths of a second separating the top 3 cars. In fact, 1/10, less than 1/10 separates the top 4. And I imagine, or as well, Nick made a mistake there through turn 4, invalidating the lap. He almost put it in the fence. He lost control of the car, managed to gather it back up. But he's running out of time. He's got just over 4.5 minutes to try and put a better lap time on the board. SV out on track. Same with Rockford. Quite early to come out, you have to admit. 4.5 minutes, there's a lot of track evolution that can take place within that time frame. Ideally, you want to leave it as late as possible. But again, you got to remember with a track like this being so small, traffic is going to get ridiculous towards the end of qualifying as he lets SV through. Well, I guess he didn't realise. Oh, SV is actually going back into the pits. So the Alfa Romeo driver, I thought he was getting ready to set a fly. No, he's going back in. Rockford will begin a flying lap, and he should have a relatively clean lap. Shouldn't get any impediment from anybody. Down to third gear, round turn 1. Nice and steady there. Oh, but the exit wasn't as good. He got it sideways. He probably lost time as a result. His first sector was pretty good on his previous lap. Let's see if he's actually gained anything. The clock says he's down by 34 thousandths of a second. Very tidy through turn 4. Round turn 5. Tidy there as well. Into the chicane. Braking just before the 50, third gear. Push both apexes. Round turn 8. Then 9. Tidy. Through turn 10. Then 11. 6th gear. Very tidy indeed. He's up by 57 thousandths now, so he's found almost a 10th to the middle sector. This has to be a damn perfect final sector if he wants to take provisional pole. He needs to find about a 10th and a half to beat Huey, and he bails. So he's going to utilise the time left on the clock, come in, put on another set of softs, and go out for one final run. Baymate out on track. Just trying to build up temperature in his tyres, that's why he's travelling so slowly. Riding the brake quite hard. Building up that carcass temperature. Jack Humphreys will be the first driver to attempt to fly, but as you can see, with the cars making their way out of the pits, there's a lot of traffic. We'll see if Humphreys gets impeded in any way. We've still got a fair few cars still lingering in pit lane, so Humphreys might get a tad bit unlucky and find some traffic. 2 minutes left on the clock. This is it. The final stages of this qualifying session. Something that Humphreys could do, which he doesn't appear to be doing, is a preparation lap, just to dump some extra fuel. He's going for it right here, right now. And there's a whole group of cars making their way down towards turn 1. Humphreys entering the opening corner. Down to 4th, down to 3rd gear. Back on the power. There's the horde of cars getting out of the way. Ferrari slowing down. Them and an Alpine. There's an Alfa Romeo running wide, making sure he's off the racing line. Good job from all three of them. I think Philly is the next car in the Haas. He's getting out of the way. Really good alertness here from everyone. Good stuff. Through turn 4. Humphreys is up by 59 thousandths of a second to the first sector. Up towards the chicane. Braking hard down to 4th gear. Back on the power. Modulates the throttle well. Uses all of the curb on the outside. Round turn 9. 5th gear. Using all of the curb again. Round 10. Into turn 11. Cars getting out of the way. Paying attention. Through the final sector now. That's great stuff. Everyone paying complete attention. Fantastic. Good cooperation. Ferrari awkwardly placed there. It wouldn't have affected Jack too much though. Got through that pretty well. Humphreys will cross the line to set a 14.881 into the 14s. Alright. That's a hell of a lap then from the reserve driver. See what others can do in response. Sebastian is up by almost 0.2 of a second to the first sector, so he's found a chunk of time there. Still got a lot of the lap to go. Eckham's making his way around turn 5. Crichton's heading down into turn 1. What about Huey? Where are you? You're heading down the main straight. Alright, Spicer then. Lest we forget there's other drivers as well. They're not terribly far off pole. All they need to do is string together one really good lap. They can take it away from Humphreys. Spice is now down. He's lost a considerable amount of time. Eckham, he's found a lot of time. Almost 0.3 of a second. He's going to try and challenge Humphreys. Crichton's done. He's thrown it into the wall. He's made a mistake at turn 4. He's thrown a lap away. Big Al jumps to P2. A big improvement from the McLaren driver. Spicer, P3, 15.1. Eckham crosses the line. It's enough! He's done it by 0.08 of a second. just under 800th. Can anyone challenge that? Huey isn't. He's 3 seconds down. What about Rockford? He's making his way through the middle sector. Up towards the middle sector split. A big wiggle there. He's only up by 67 thousandths. This needs to be a final sector and a half from Rockford if he wants to take pole position away from the Mercedes. Out of turn 13. One corner left. Sends it in. Lines it up. Heads onto the main straight away. It's a 1:15.187 P8. So there we are. The end of qualifying. What a lap. Found a huge chunk of time in the middle sector. Strung the final sector together. Eckham takes pole position. Not by much. To be exact, it's 76 thousandths between the top two. The only two drivers in the 14s, and they've done 14.8s. Reese Cohen, P3. Best qualifying performance of the season, if I'm not mistaken. You'd be really happy with that, starting on the second row. At Hungary, of all places, too. There we are, the end of qualifying. Eckham on pole, Humphries alongside in P2. Then we have Reese Cohen, P3, followed by Big Al. Spicer rounds out the top 5. Then we have Huey Crichton throwing his lap away right at the end of qualifying. He's P7, followed by Rockford in 8th. SV9 Philly rounds out the top 10. We have Batemate, Denoku. Then we have Bags Liddell, P13. Kebab, P14. Jinbin in 15th position, followed by Stevenson, then Plevy. GeForce Nick, unable to set a properly competitive lap. He's P18, almost 2 seconds off pole. But 17 cars separated by just over 1 second. It's what you expect here at the Hungaroring. Alright. Race time. Conditions? I imagine they're dry. They are. But judging by the top left of screen, there is a hint of cloud cover. Always a bit worrying with approximate weather. It means there's a chance of rain. You've got to be on your toes. Thankfully, the teams are allowed 2 sets of intermediate tyres per car, so those drivers who used a set in qualifying, they've still got a spare set that they can use in the race that are completely they're completely fine. Completely intact. That's what I was going with. Now, from what I remember on Sunday, drivers need to be a bit alert when it comes to the fuel. It's not quite as bad as Qatar, but Hungary is a bit of a fuel burner. And the 2-stop strat. The 2-stop, pretty fast, but as Sunday proved, there's a decent chance of a safety car here. So you got to work on your toes. You need to pray that luck falls in your favour. Shouldn't be too far away now, folks, from the race start. Drivers just making their final adjustments. They're getting ready to run. We got 5 red lights. We're underway here at the Hungaroring, and eventually the audio kicks in. Eckham with a pretty decent start. Humphries trying to draw alongside, heading down towards turn 1. Will he fire it in? He's going to try. He pulls it up, a bit of contact, and here comes Big Al to try and take the lead. Humphries, Al, drag racing down towards turn 2. Humphries with the inside line. Eckham in P3 now on the medium tyre. Out of turn 2, round turn 3, Eckham fighting round the outside. He's pushed wide again. But this time he doesn't lose a place. He gains a place. He's into P2. Yellow's out. It's Huey in the Ferrari. He's tumbled down to last. Cohen. Oh, Crichton banging wheels there. At turn 5, Crichton moves through into 4th. Through the chicane. Single file through here, gents. Or double file there in the background with Liddell and Kebab battling for position. I think everyone's just about sorted. Plevy going round the outside, and he gets it done. P12 for him. Kebab trying to fight back. Oh, Plevy shuts the door. He's on the soft tyre. He's playing aggressive. Stevenson having a look as well. Kebab's being bullied. He's been bullied down to 14th. Poor bugger. He's fighting back though. Pushing back. Humphreys is leading the way. He's got a margin as well of 1.1 seconds. Batemate's coming into the pits for sure for damage. The two Haas is changing places. And Huey, poor Huey. An incident through the first sector. He's down in last. 10 seconds behind this group. Humphreys pulling away. Eckham in P2. Got bullied out wide at turn 1 and turn 3. Thankfully for him, he hasn't lost a tremendous amount of track position. He might lose an extra place though. Crichton is right behind and on those softs. He'd probably like to get by as soon as possible. Trick is, where is he going to get by? Round turn 9. Big understeer there. Send it in a bit too hot. Through turn 11. Again, it seemed like the car was understeering through there as well. Of course, the cars are heavier now with race fuel in the car. All that extra weight makes the car a little bit more sluggish through the corners. Does have a bit of battery to play with here, Crichton. He's going to use it. Sit in the slipstream, pull out of it. Eckham might fight. You'll understand that he'll be able to fight back later with the strategy he's on the medium compound tyre. And now Crichton has a task ahead of him. 2 seconds is the gap. Can he hunt down Humphreys? There he is there. The gap sits at 1.9. Meanwhile, in the midfield, everyone looking relatively solid. And then we have this group of cars that linger just inside of the top 10. And I mean just. The leader of this train is Bags Liddell. Needs to get back within 1 second of Danielku, and he has. But he needs to stay within that same range throughout the middle sector. And the man of the gap sitting at 8/10. He's doing a good job. Can't afford to lose DRS. Not when your rivals are that close behind. Cannot afford to lose it at all. Using a bit of battery to try and claw that time back. Now he needs to string together a tidy final sector. DRS detection zone is just before the final corner, and he will get DRS, so he won't be challenged by his rivals behind. Should be staying in P10 at least for the next lap. Everyone line astern, everyone about half a second apart. This is what you tend to see here at the Hungaroring. This race is all about strategy and chaos more than anything else. Plevy makes his way by Philly. Oh, gee whiz! Stevenson down the inside. Making that move stick. He does. He moves through into P12. Audacious move there. Philly couldn't do much on the hard tyre. You can see the hard runners falling back. Just briefly change it to position change. So Philly down 3, Huey down 11, Baymate down 7. The driver who's gained the most is Matt Plevy, understandably on those soft tyres. Philly slowing down, loses a place to Kebab, and now Jin Bin closes in. Does he have damage on that car? Front wing looks okay. Yeah, on those hard tyres, there's really not much you can do. They don't have extreme levels of pace here at the Hungaroring. That's why it seems that the two-stop strategy is quite viable here. And again, decent chance of a safety car. Philly's coming in, so he does have damage of some description. I just can't see it. There we go. Switch back towards tyres. There we go. He just retires. He's had enough, it seems. So, very well. His call. 1.7 seconds the gap, so Crichton's chipped away at the gap, but not by a huge amount. Humphreys looking pretty solid in first position. Crichton with a little bit extra battery, not a huge amount extra. They're about even, the top two. Eckham sitting behind in P3, Al in 4th, followed by Cohen. That's the top 5. And then we have Sebastian Spicer, P6, followed by Rockford, SV, Danielku, and then Bags Liddell. That's the top 10. one retirement so far, and that's Philly. Still got an awfully long way to go. Now that we're actually looking at the Mercedes-Benz here, one thing to point out, there has been an update very recently, a fairly big one at that, as Philly leaves the session. This update includes the 2023 F2 cars, so we get to play with those at some point, I'd imagine. But also some aero updates to all of the Formula 1 cars. The front wing on the Mercedes is slightly altered compared to its previous model. The end plates are slightly taller, a bit more curvy as well compared to the previous design, which were far more angular than what they are now. I know, it's nice when Codemasters add in those little subtle details that teams make over the course of a season, as Matt Plevy and Stevenson get 3 seconds apiece for multiple warnings. On top of the add-ons, there was meant to be a whole heap of bug fixes, one of which will be quite important in the future because we will race there. The pit lane at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya has been fixed, apparently. There was this awful bump in pit lane entry that if you run over it, there was a very high chance your car would end up hitting the pit lane wall on the outside. Although that seems to have been fixed, a friend of mine has recently shared a video, a commentator actually, KD, shared a video of something that he did in time trial. He slammed an invisible wall, yeah, ACW, he slammed an invisible wall heading into the final corner. Vaulted his car into the gravel trap on the outside. So, let's hope that doesn't affect us when we race there in a few weeks' time. Let's hope, let's pray. Neato little exchange here between Rockford and Spicer. Going for what they can right now. They're at the tail of this train of cars. And even with their little scrap through the first sector, they didn't lose enough time to be out of DRS range to Reese Cohen. They're still very much there. So these guys, they're ultra fast and they're super competitive. Good to see. It's just really tough to battle around a racetrack like this. You're very much stuck in position. Just kind of have to admire the driving for at least a little bit. And wonder how the strategies are all going to pan out. Because we do have fairly decent mix here. SV, bit wide. Daniel Koo's got Bags Liddell right behind. SV, he's done 6 laps on those soft compound tyres. They've definitely seen better days. Right on board here with Liddell. That'll go down the inside. SV put up a little defence, but he really couldn't do much. Stevenson gets by as well. Kebab down the inside of Plevy. Out of turn 1, DRS open. Matt with no DRS assistance is unable to try and challenge Kebab. Ooh. We're very comfortable of getting very close to the rear end of that Alpine. A little bit of battery usage. Stevenson, just to make sure Kebab is far enough away. Maybe try and close up on Bags Liddell as well as Jinbin. Gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Big Al P4, Ekem P3. Wasn't much separating the two of them through turn 9. The gap stretched out though in the following corners. And the gap between the top two still pretty close at 2 seconds. Not much separating the top two. But I'd say right now Humphreys, he's got a small edge over Crichton. Small edge. Ecken closing in. Will he go for it this time? Looks like he will. Down the inside into turn 1. I reckon at this point now those medium tyres are probably in better condition and are able to produce better lap times compared to the softs. So it's only wise for Crichton to let his teammate through. Let he be the battering ram that closes in on Jack Humphreys. And at the moment it's working. Gaps come down just a shade, down to 1.9. see the pace difference here in the middle sector, see what Everingham can do. Gap's sitting at 2 seconds. Can he cut it down by a tenth or two here? As Humphrey's got the measure over both silver arrows. And at the moment, it's pretty even through the middle sector. Still sitting at about 2 seconds. Well, that's a statement. Even on these tyres, Humphrey still has enough pace to keep that whole horde of cars behind at a 2-second margin. Crichton staying out. Got to follow his teammate round for a bit. Oh, well, not follow him exactly, thank goodness, because Everingham invented a new corner. He went that wide. He went so far wide, in fact, he went and visited Budapest itself. Well, thankfully, he came back on, and no penalty has been applied to him. Yet. Wouldn't doubt it if he got a warning. Down the hill. In fact, Humphreys has opened up the gap by another 2 tenths. This dude fast. He fast. 2.3. The gap growing. Not by a whole heap. Just a little bit here and there. Everyone in the train just minding their own business. Rockford a bit low on battery. Spice has got a lot of battery. 70-odd%. He's doing good. Daniel leading this small group. SV behind and Bags Liddell still inside the top 10. I'm sure Bags will be pretty happy with his race so far. The Aston Martin crew, both of them inside the top 10. The only other team with both cars in the 10 is Mercedes. And P2 and 3, they're looking pretty good teams-wise. Down the main, straight away we go. Stevenson and Plevy pit in for the first time. Bags looks around the outside at turn 1. Oh, he's going to try and get this done. What an awkward line to work with, though. So he wasn't able to fully hold it around the outside. He had to give in. Yeah, the halo on the Aston's changed. The DBX 707 is now really big. The halo. Going alongside around the outside. Yeah, that was bound to happen there. Thankfully, the two didn't make contact. It was just a brief little exchange there. Bags won't be particularly pleased about it. No driver is forced out wide is particularly pleased with it, but at the end of the day, that's kind of just sort of what racing's about sometimes. Especially through a corner like turn 4. It's very difficult to make side-by-side racing work through turn 2. And I think those two did about as good as you possibly could. Humphreys is in. The race leader is in. So Everingham will take the lead at the beginning of lap 12 of 35. This queue of cars heading down towards turn 1. Bit of a look there from Al. Batemate, a penalty. Where are you, Humphreys? He's putting on the mediums. Into the pits as well comes Daniel Koo and Bags Liddell. They've got sets of softs and mediums being put on their cars respectively. Look at Humphreys. He's got a bit of clear road ahead of him. 2.5 seconds of it to be exact. He'd like that just to get these tyres warmed up. Then he'll start piercing his way through the field. Here's your leading queue. 6 cars all in a train, led by the 2 silver arrows. All of them on mediums except for Crichton. He's on the softs. Spicer doing a great job with that battery. It looks good. Kebab, a 3-second time penalty. Kebab is in 8th place. 12 laps in. Yeah, not ideal. Someone's in. It's Rockford in the Alpine. Pulls it up. 60 km/h pit lane. Sorry, not 60. 80. 80. It's not 60 here. or in King's English, that would be 50 miles an hour. Coming out of the pits now, he'll have a bit of clear road to work with as well. He'll come out behind Huey, but in front of Daniel Koo and the following train, so he'll be able to operate pretty well in the conditions he's just set himself. Probably try and get by Huey as soon as possible, just like Humphries getting by his teammate. Nice and quickly there. Humphries will need to make his way through G-Force Nick. He might do it here at the chicane. Yeah, he's going to have a go. And Nick can't do much about that. You could kind of tell when Humphries came out of turn 5, he had a lot of momentum. He recognised it. He switched on the battery straight away. And there was really nothing Nick could do. He could be a real prick about it and defend as hard as he could, but it wouldn't have helped his race. It wouldn't have helped Jack's race either. So he just sort of let it happen, which is the wise thing to do, the mature thing to do. Recognising that there's still a long way to go in this race, and Humphries is in his battle. Now he's got a real clear track ahead of him, 4.5 seconds to go. Cohen getting by Al. Al fighting back down the inside of turn 2. Contact between the two cars. Where's Spicer? There he is. Has a look. Can't commit to the move. That was tight. That was real tight at turn 2. They both got through that corner relatively unscathed. It really could have been so much worse though. Big lift and coast there from Spicer. Super conservative driver. Super consistent as well. Right now he's loving life. Just watching the battles ahead. Driving smart. Ton of battery in hand. Probably looking after the tyres as well, I imagine. Look at that, nice and gentle on the brakes. Very smooth. Like a Jensen Button of sorts as Batemate retires in the pits. Our second retirement, we're down to 16. Yeah, JB is quite well renowned for being an incredibly smooth racer. Seriously smooth steering inputs. Now, there's a car. That's Batemate's car in the middle of the pits. Eckham's gone, and thank goodness he wasn't held up. He's on the hard compound tyres. Rockford sets a new fastest lap. So Eckham is going to commit to the one-stop strategy. See if it pans out for him as he comes out in front of Stevenson, behind Daniel Koo. Rockford getting by Jinbin. Jinbin on those hard tyres. He can't wait for the day he gets off those as Rockford has a look. He's got momentum. He's got the line. He's got 8th. Humphries, Kebab. Kebab cut the track. Ooh! Almost contact. Yeah, Humphries going for it at the chicane again. He's really not mucking around. Battery turned on. Look at the speed difference. Whooshka. Humphries through at the 5th. And he's got 6 seconds of clear track ahead of him. Crichton's in. Now we have Reese Cohen leading the way. From Big Al in P2, Sebastian Spicer completes the top 3. Crichton pits in for a set of mediums. He's done a very lengthy stint on those softs. Is he committing to this potentially soft medium strategy? I hate to know how cooked those tyres are by the end of the race. Hello, Bags. It's always awkward when you see two cars go into a first corner like that, one coming out of the pits, the other one on the regular racing line. Always gets awkward. Eckham gets by Jinbin. Jinbin, yeah, he can't wait to get off these tyres, man. 15 lap hold hards, they're going to be awful. They're going to be so awful. Honestly, be like driving on concrete tyres as Eckham has a look down the inside. Nick, they're just completely defenseless. He can't do a thing. on these tyres. Actual spaghetti tyres. And no grip. And look at them all. Hoarding up behind now. We got, what's that? Stevenson, Liddell, Crichton and Matt Plevy. Oh, Liddell having a look. He's like, oh, there'll be a chance here. Have a look here. Whoa, down the inside goes Stevenson. Crichton follows. Williams appear out of nowhere. And here comes Crichton to the inside. Gets that done fairly easily. Next car will be G-Force Nick. Rockford a 3-second time penalty. And Nick's not even going to fight Crichton. He won't fight Stevenson either. And there's Bags Liddell. Bags having a look down the inside. Down the inside also looks Matt Plevy, but couldn't get that done. There we go. Thank you very much, cameraman Stevenson, for that action. So all of that on the onboard of an Alpha. Big Al comes in to get off these medium tyres. Onto a set of hards? Don't know. It would have to be a set of hards. I can't tell from this angle. It is hard. Thank you, Totem Pole. There goes the Horde. Liddell goes down the inside of Stevenson here. That is P8. Daniel Koo on the back of Everingham here. 6-lap-old soft tyres. Definitely seen better days. Those Pirellis. We'll do a few more laps on them. Probably pit for a set of mediums, go to the end. Maybe even go for another set of softs, who knows. Crichton closing in. Fresher tyres. Tons of grip. Spicer loses a position. Humphreys moves into P2. So these guys going uber long on their mediums. Stretching them out. Laying straight down. DRS open on Humphrey's car. Cohen defends the inside line. Cohen tries to defend position. Contact between the two cars. Crichton gets by Daniel. And Humphreys gets by Cohen. So now Humphreys has all of the racetrack now in front of him. It's all clear. He can send it as hard as he needs to. Cohen still has Spicer directly behind, so these two are going to remain glued together for a while. Rockford P4, he's got to make another stop at some point. And we have the two Mercedes, Daniel Koo in P7. Bags Liddell in 8th position. Stevenson, Matt Plevy. They round out the top 10. Al gets by Nick. Poor Nick and Jinbin. They are well and truly stones in water right now. They've been dropping down through the order, being bullied by everybody. Because they have absolutely no grip, no pace whatsoever on their tyres. The look there, bigger look there. Jinbin running wide, so the look turned into an overtake for Big Al. It's all happening everywhere. Here's your leaders. 2.2 seconds a gap now. 19 lap-old mediums. And Nick decides to pull the plug. He's in. He's saying, "Oh, I don't want to do any more laps on these tyres. I'm going to pit. I'm going to put on fresh tyres. I'm just going to drive as hard as I can." Everingham, Crichton. I imagine there's going to be a change of position here shortly. Probably not through the middle sector. That can get pretty dicey, but on the main straightaway, I would imagine there'll be a change of position. Rockford closing in on this group now. Those soft compound tyres doing the work, doing the business. We go around the penultimate corner. Cohen, Spicer staying out some more. Rockford trying to take 2 here. First target will be Spicer. Might be quite brave on the brakes here. Not quite. Crichton. Little cheeky wave there to his teammates saying thank you very much for that. Spicer holding 3rd. Hello, Rockford. He is right behind. Saying to Spicer, can I please pass? I have much quicker tyre. Spicer says, no, you cannot pass. It's a middle sector. You cannot pass through here. Might have a go at turn 12 though. Not a great run through 11. Never mind. If you got a good run through 11, you can try and set up a big move here at turn 12, but Rockford didn't get that run that he needed. Nice and easy on the throttle. Into the pits we go. Cohen, Spicer and Rockford. For Reese and Sebastian, it's their first stop. Rockford is his last. Soft tyres at the ready. Soft tyres at the ready. Soft tyres at the ready? Soft tyres at the ready. Alright, all 3 of them are on the soft compound. They're going to do 13 laps on these things to get to the end of the race. Lap levy in. Medium tyres put on the car. Away he leaves. Here's your race leader, Jack Humphreys. Gap of 6.1 seconds to Crichton in P2, who's almost built up a 1 second margin to his teammate. Those medium tyres working quite well. Humphreys with a decent sized lead. How much will that tumble with the tyre wear difference? And I wonder as well, will Humphreys go for a 2-stop, or is he going to try and stretch out these mediums for as long as he can? They got to do a super stupid long stint, but he might have to try and do that. We'll wait and see what he does. Then I'll go into the pits. Garage towards the end of pit lane. Set of softs at the ready. There they go. Away he leaves. Nice and tidy. Hello, Spicer and Rockford and Kebab. Kebab, the odd one out. Poor fella on 7-lap old hards. Not much he can do on those tyres. And this has been a real proper game of strategy. It's all scrambled. The only consistent ones are Cohen, Spicer and Rockford. They're all on the same tyre right here, right now. Makes my job a little easier. I imagine they're going to try and close in on Stevenson. And they will quite rapidly, considering Stevenson's on 12-lap old mediums. He's on the oldest mediums out of anybody right now. So he's going to be hunted down fairly quickly, and the interval reflects Sector 2 yellows. It's Jin been around at turn 5. I think he might have just touched the inside curb, maybe lost the car a little bit. Still on the racer, that's the main thing. Got to keep surviving. Bags Liddell is in. SV is in as well. This will be their final stops. Cohen sets a new fastest lap. 16.9. medium tyres at the ready for SV. Soft tyres for Bags Liddell. It's all mixed up and down the field. There's no straightforward strategy to this race. Got so many drivers on so many different strategies. They're impossible to keep track of. And of course, all it takes is one safety car and it throws all this hard work right out the window. Rockford on the back of Spicer. He's been unable to find a way by that Aston Martin though. He's looked quick, but Sebastian, he's just put it in the right places and able to keep it at bay. But this might be a small issue. Spicer, 1 second behind. He needs to be within a second in order to get DRS. At the moment, he's a tenth and a half off. He realises this and switches on the battery just ever so briefly. Try and close that gap down. But at the moment, Cohen's pulling away. Might lose a little bit of time. Stuck behind Stevenson here out of the penultimate corner. But it's not enough. Spicer has no DRS. He might be vulnerable. Just like Stevenson here. Down the main straightaway. Reese will get by into 5th position. What about Rockford? He's closing in, but he's too far behind. That's it for Rockford. He can't get by at turn 1. Bags Liddell getting by Matt Levy there. That's for P11. Matt can't counter-attack into turn 1. Not quite close enough. Doesn't have the grip to do it either. Spicer gets by Stevenson. Rockford gets by Stevenson. The Alpine down to P8. His teammate up into 7th. Hunting down the Aston Martin that is in P6. Crichton. 3.7 seconds the gap now between the top two. The gap continuing to cut down corner by corner. As Humphrey's in, so he's committing to the 2-stop then. He's going to have a 10-lap stint on the soft tyre. And his job, his only job, is to send it as hard as he can to try and catch the leading cars. No, it's not softs, mediums. Oh, everyone's pitting onto soft tyres for this final stint. He's onto mediums. Okie dokie. He might not have had enough soft tyres left in reserve. So, mediums it is. Well, what it means is that he doesn't have to worry about tyre life at all. 10 laps on the mediums. He's basically given himself a license to push as hard as he wants to on those tyres. Doesn't have to worry about preserving them. Those tyres will do 10 laps no problem. First cars to try and pass is this soft trio. Cohen, Spicer, Rockford. All of them on similar age soft tyres. Won't be the easiest group to pass, that's for sure. Cohen a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. Yeah, I'm not surprised that HSC Math wasn't particularly enjoyable, especially advanced. Not surprised at all. Thankfully for me, I didn't have to do advanced for HSC. I only had to do extension 1, extension 2. Which, I don't know if I'm particularly thankful for, actually. But yeah, I imagine. Ooh, there you go. We'll have fun with extension 1. Humphreys 1.3 seconds behind. He's cutting that gap down. He needs to try and get through this group as efficiently as possible. Depending on how quickly he's able to get through this group, it might depend on whether or not he's able to win this race. They've got a lot of time to try and gather back up to try and challenge the leading 3 cars as Bags Liddell gets by Kebab. That is at turn 11. Plevy now under a bit of pressure from SV behind, so we've got a few battles here and there. Keep our eyes on this. This trio of cars being led by Sebastian Spicer, Luke Rockford behind him, P6 Humphreys closing the gap. Rockford half defends and half attacks, leaves the outside vulnerable to Humphreys. It's his opportunity to try and get past the Alpine. He's taking it with both hands, and he moves down the inside here at turn 2. And he takes P6. One down. Spicer is next. Problem is through this middle sector. Tough to pass. Humphreys, though, has passed through here before. Is he close enough to pass at the chicane? No. Doesn't have enough momentum to get by. Through the S's now. Turns 8, 9. And the left of 10. The right of 11. Here we go. Down the inside here at turn 12. He's got a mega run down the inside. He moves through into 5th. 4 to go. The next target is Reese Cohen and Big Al in the McLaren. And it's about setting as fast a lap times as you possibly can to try and hunt down Eckham and then eventually Crichton. Reese Cohen moves through into 3rd place. Passes Big Al. Moves down to 4th. Humphreys doesn't have DRS assistance, so that's less than optimal. But he'd be unfazed. Keep his head down. Just close the gap up to the cars ahead. Closing in rapidly. Up the hill. Round the left-hander on turn 4. Look at that gap shrink. Got a huge run going here at turn 5. He was a bit balked though by Big Al. And as a result, he can't send it down the inside at the chicane. Can try and set one up at turn 12 though. Just like he did with Spicer. Here we go. Around turn 11. Switches on the battery. With no hesitation. Goes down the inside. And takes P4. 3 to go. Sector 2 yellows, it's Jimbin. Around at turn 5. It's pointed back in the right direction again. Doesn't break his car either. Grip difference is pretty noticeable, isn't it? The freshness of these tyres. Got a bit of battery to play with too. Able to close those gaps down. Now he has to pass Reese Cohen. Reese won't be an easy guy to try and pass either. Be very aggressive with his defence. See what these two get up to. Kebab getting by Matt Plevy as well. That was for P11. Round turn 5. Sets up a really nice run. Switches on the battery. Hard defence. This is what I mean. Reese won't leave any door open. He'll slam it shut. Humphreys, though, he can afford to be a little bit patient. He can wait to the main straight if he wants. Again, a slight cover from Reese. He makes it difficult, but Humphreys sends it down the inside. At 12, he's into 3rd. Reese tried. He did try to slam that door shut. But Humphreys was just too quick. Alrighty then, folks. The gap sits just under 8 seconds. 7.6 to be exact. It is 5 laps to go here at the Hungaroring. The lap difference in terms of tyre life is 10 between Crichton and Humphreys. It's 11 between Eckham and Humphreys, and Eckham's on the hards. They're surviving for sure, but they're not going to be fast. Not compared to Humphreys. Might bring up sector splits, shall we? Have a look at these times. See the lap difference between all 3 cars. This has been a very, very long stint for Crichton on those mediums. They're not going to feel great. 57.1 to the first sector. 1.5 seconds off his PB. 57.2. Didn't quite catch that for Humphries, but he was most certainly quicker. And look, he's already within a second of Everingham. He might be able to set something up at turn 1. Have a look at the lap time for Crichton. It's a 1 minute 20.0. For Humphries, as he heads onto the main straight, it's a 1 minute 17.8. 2.2 seconds faster. Everingham doesn't defend the inside, and Humphries sends it in. Little switchback move from Everingham. Wheel-to-wheel contact. They head down towards turn 2. Humphries with the inside line, though, is able to take P2. Everingham, he left that inside line wide open. With the grip of those mediums, Humphries was able to send it in. And even though he sent it in a little bit too deep, it gave him the inside line heading into turn 2. There was really nothing Everingham could do about it. 4.5 seconds to gap now. And Humphries is closing in at about 2 seconds a lap. Crichton's tyres are falling off bad. He's got a battery to play with, but he doesn't have time. He's losing at a rapid rate. He might be able to catch up with about 2 to go. 3.8 seconds to gap. Running out of time for a safety car as well. There's not going to be any interference then from race control. This is it, the sprint to the flag. It's another 17.8, 3.3 seconds to gap. He spent every bit of battery. That might be one thing that could potentially save Crichton. He has got battery in reserve, 46% to be exact. Is that enough to try and defend into key areas like turn 1? You'll have to do a hell of a lot of defending. He'll need to make that Mercedes as wide as it's ever been. It's going to be one hell of a shootout through the chicane. 2.7, 2.6. The gap shrinks after every single corner. Using overtake again. He's splurging every bit. Crichton saving just enough, perhaps. Perhaps. It's the one thing, the one small thing that might help him. Might. 2.2. Hasn't closed in as much this lap. 2.1. Crossing the line. Here we go. 19.8 versus Humphries 18.5. That is substantially slower. That's 7/10 slower compared to his previous lap. He was in the 17s. Yellow's out. It's Kebab going slowly through the chicane. 2 seconds to gap. Can Crichton hang on? Maybe that's it for those mediums. Maybe that massive splurge of battery was just too much too soon for Humphries. He's running out of time to close that gap down. He's not closing it down by enough. 1.8. Remember as well, if he doesn't get within 1 second of Crichton, heading into the final corner, he will not get DRS down the main straight. He will not get DRS into turn 2. Which will mean he won't get DRS full stop to try and pass, except for that little bit after the final corner on the final lap. Humphries is cutting that gap down as much as he can. But it's not going to be enough, is it? 2.5 tenths, it's going to be close to get some DRS. Can he get there? No, he can't. There is the DRS detection zone. He won't get DRS. Crichton, though, will turn on the battery and send it down the main straightaway. The gap's 1 second. The gap's almost hitting 1.1 as they head into turn 1 on the final lap of this Hungarian Grand Prix. What a battle. All thanks to the strategy. 19 laps he's done on those tyres, and they're hanging on. He's got just enough pace to keep Humphries at bay. Humphries does not have the battery to close in. But does he have the tyre life? He's got a lot of grip on those tyres compared to Crichton. 6 tenths the margin as they go through the chicane. Into the S's now. Turn 8. Turn 9. There might be one opportunity. And that's heading into 12. He's done it before. He's not close enough, is he? 4/10 the gap as they go into the final sector. 2 corners to go. 13 and 14. Humphries is close. He sends it through. Crichton hanging on to everything. He's got battery in hand. Humphries, is he too far behind? Crichton switches on the battery and crosses the line to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a fantastic effort. 2 completely different strategies, separated by 0.2 of a second at the end of this race. And Ekin will finish on the podium in 3rd. A double podium for the Silver Arrows. Cohen P4, Big Al rounds out the top 5. But my word, how did he make those tyres last 20 laps? And that extra battery life, that might have been the very thing that saved him. That might have just been it. What a fantastic battle here at the Hungaroring. Fantastic. 2 completely different strategies. And they're only separated by 0.2 of a second. Well done to both of you. But there can only be one winner. That man is G-Force Crichton. Driver of the day is given to him as well. A one-stop strategy, soft to medium. He makes it work. Just about. Time for the podium celebrations. Crichton, you should retake the championship lead with this result. It's a nice comeback after Qatar. P2 to Jack Humphries. What a performance from him. Ekim completes the podium places in 3rd. The unofficial results then of the Hungarian Grand Prix. G-Force Crichton is your race winner by 0.2 of a second to Jack Humphries in P2. A fantastic battle right at the end there, all thanks to strategy. Ekim, his pole position rewards him with a podium finish. He'd be happy enough with that, I'd imagine. Reese Cohen, P4. Big Al rounds out top 5 in 5th. Sebastian Spicer, P6, followed by Rockford 7th. SV in 8th. Benel Koo from 12th finishes 9th. Bags Liddell finishes inside the top 10. Here we got in trouble early on, so I imagine he's happy with 11th. Matt Plevy 12th, followed by Stevenson, Nick Kebab and Jinbin, who ended up scoring fastest lap. 2 voluntary retirements, which were Batemate and Philly, were the only ones we had during the whole race. 0 safety cars, 0 VSCs. Plenty of interesting racing. And it's not what you typically consider interesting. It wasn't the hardcore side-by-side stuff that we really do remember. What this was a brilliant game of chess being played by 2 masters. And they were so close to each other right at the end. It was brilliant. Separated by the square root of bugger all at the end. Doing 2 completely different things. Love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, congratulations again to our top 3. Congratulations, Mr. Crichton, on winning this Hungarian Grand Prix. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to wrap up the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 10 of the championship at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.